Okay.
Okay, welcome to the bonus show. We've never done this before, but you know what? We got onto a trend here that's very interesting, and AI. So open it up for me. I mean, get to where we were in this conversation because it was pure gold. I think there's a
Okay,
lot of
so
back and forth we can have here.
100%. So the history of AI as we know it
Mm,
on the public sector was November 2023 when OpenAI came out with the product to the market, right?
mm-hmm.
And people were using it for all the different things they were using it for, and people were like, "Well, it's just a fad," because every major technology, if you want to call it that, goes through a shunning period, a shaming period, a
Mm-hmm.
promotion period, and an adoption period, somewhat in that order, right? We could see that with the internet, 92, 93. Oh, it's not going to be here for a long time. We can see that with other technologies. So, fast forwarding to AI in 2023, and now we're at a place where all the companies are trying to find ways to use that in their tools and the products that they're releasing, whether that's Microsoft, whether that's Apple, or whether that's Google. They're all trying to figure out ways to use AI. So that's kind of like a quick history of what we've seen as consumers that we're aware of. Now, Google, based on previous interviews or even recent interviews, have said they've been doing AI stuff for the last 10 years, right?
Right.
So actually putting stuff out that we can use, is really 2023, 2024, but they've been investing in that technology for a long time. Now they're trying to find a safe way to implement it into the stuff that we use, whether that's Gemini, whether that's Copilot, or whatever Apple's calling theirs. I'm not being funny. I don't know. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that. So OpenAI, so we have that, and we have Google Gemini, we have that. So now when you look at how people are feeling when it comes to that technology in games
Mm.
and what that means, this is where we pick up the conversation we were just having,
Yes.
because you said that people were upset about the AI usage in the finals, the game. And I'm like, well, they shouldn't be, because AI is going to be used everywhere.
Okay. Now they were using AI to voice these announcers and to have spur of the moment dialogue, which could be incredibly random, right? Like the
Okay.
dialogue could be based on who's winning, who's losing, whether it's a shutout or if it's a highly contentious game, or it could say so and so got a headshot on this guy, blah blah blah. It could be
Right.
a number of things. And it could be, yes, it could be that they don't want to pay actors and can't afford the rates, and therefore they're replacing them with robots or whatever. That's always the big concern, right? We see AI art, we say, "Oh no, you could have paid an artist to do that." And rightfully so, that's been the way that we do things. We see it with AI music, it's like you could have paid a musician to do that, and all of a sudden it feels like painters and musicians and now voice actors are now facing competition with artificial intelligence, which obviously we're all we're upset about because we spend years honing these skills, and that can be replicated in a moment with a computer, and that could be putting us out of a job in a market that is already highly contentious, and now we have to compete with robots, not just other humans.
Yeah. So one of the things that I said, I want to give you
Yeah.
a link to it. This particular article is from Eurogamer. It says Ubisoft focusing on open world and live service games, comma, continues to invest
Mm-hmm.
in generative AI. Okay. So this thing where people are like, I don't want this in my games, right? So we have to go with the technology of using autocorrect. Thousands of people have used autocorrect over the years. That is a form of AI. No one
It is.
complains about that.
Yeah.
No one complains about that. So if your
It's a
complaint is
tool.
going to
It's
be,
important to note that is a
it's
tool that
a
helps you, right?
tool.
And is
It's
all
a
AI a
tool.
tool, right?
It's
AI
right.
is a tool, right? But
It's
we
a
only look
tool.
at certain things like spell check and autocorrect and maybe the features on our Google phones that replace, I'd take a group picture and all of a sudden one person wasn't smiling. I can reference back to another photo where they were smiling and paste that face over their face. Like all that AI technology, all that ease of use. AI is meant to be what in the Industrial Revolution was to, mass producing products, building cars, all of these various things. Without industrialization, we don't get to the point where we get out of the third world. Like we have vehicles, we have electricity in every room. Like the internet was the next big thing. AI is now that next big thing that we're going to rebel against and we're going to compete against. And yeah, in some ways it's going to replace some of our jobs, but what you were getting to is that this is a tool, right?
It's a tool.
And it's your option to use it or not, right?
It is your option to use it, and with every tool, you can use it or complain about it. Same thing for YouTube.
Yeah.
You could use it or complain about it. You can use it as a platform to create your brand and do stuff on there. You can use it for education, entertainment, or any other things. But it is a tool that can either be used by you, or you can use it as a consumption for educational means and things of that nature. So for people who are complaining, whether it's a gamer who isn't taking the time to educate themselves, I'll say that.
Okay.
And a lot of these games that we've played over the years, we don't know what technology that they've used in every single stage of the development process.
Yeah.
And if some of those things were AI, and because the AI conversation now, it's like, hey, I want to tell you all the truth about what we've been using. We've been using AI. We just want to let you know, like, that's going to go away. Okay. No one's going to be surprised that a creator is going to have an Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube channel, a podcast, a newsletter. All of these things are going to benefit the creator.
Right.
All of them. And what they're going to do with that is find the best way to capture their market for the things that they're building using every single tools or funnels that are available to them in the marketplace. That's how it works. Whether that's generative AI, whether that's, part AI for different things, whether you're using it for imaging only, whether you're using it for stock video, it is a tool that's going to benefit you and process what you're trying to build faster. Yes, some individuals may not necessarily have those jobs anymore, but there are individuals who are going to specialize in how to use those tools, and they'll get those jobs, right? So no one's ever out of the market. If you're not playing in it, right, that's a different situation. So for them to say in this particular article, and I'm going to send it to you because I want you to have it.
Yeah.
For them to say this in this particular article, that they are continuing to invest in AI because they realize that the speed at which they're going to be able to create some game experiences is going to be much faster by implementing AI in the workflow or the development flow. That's just the nature of where we are. So if someone's saying, hey, you know what? I'm never going to use a typewriter. I'm just going to handwrite everything.
Where is that person right now? They have carpal tunnel or something. They're.
It's silly to think about that. Like, no one is
today.
Like, hey,
it is, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, with note-taking, people write, a few notes here and there on pen and paper. That's not completely gone, but no one's writing a 25-page report or whatever that they need to do for, like, a dissertation of some sort. They're not handwriting those things only.
No.
And if they are, it's because they cannot necessarily afford that particular technology. There are those countries and territories, or even towns in where we live in America, right?
Yeah.
But the technology is there. But once you have the technology in your hands, you're not going to say, well, now that I have this keyboard and I have this PC that I don't need to use ink or whiteout, to do things. You mean to tell me you're not going to use the keyboard and the word processor, LibreOffice or Microsoft Office or whatever? You're not going to use any of that stuff? Google Docs? You're not going to use any of that. It's silly, right? So we take all the tools that we have in our possession, the ones that we're aware of and the ones that we're going to be aware of in the next, let's say, 3 to 4 years, right? And we use that to our advantage to build the things that we're building. Every company does this, right?
Wait,
So
wait. You said every company does this. I know the reply to that is going to be, that doesn't make it right, though. Just because everyone's doing it and get away with it, people are going to respond to you
that's
with,
fair.
yeah,
That's fair. I mean, you
critique.
could definitely make that point, but there's always going to be good players and bad players in how these things are used, right?
Yeah.
So that would be my counterpoint. There's
Okay.
always been that way, whether you look at, crypto or any other, market, that people are going to find something that is intended to be good, right? That, like, even the phone, making phone calls and scamming people on the phone. The scamming went from the phone to having a king emailing you, right, from Africa, saying that they have all this wealth and they want to give it to you. All you have to do is send them your routing number and the shit. So there's bad players everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right? So the thing is, like, what if you're not the bad player? What are you going to do with the technology in your hand right now, especially with Gemini being what it is and ChatGPT being what it is, for AI solutions? Now, they're probably going to be investing this, on a larger scale, right? Not just using those tools as they're presented to us in a marketplace now. They probably have, a version of it that is tailored for that company, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Big business and different things of that nature. But if the tool is there and you say, well, I don't want to be like everybody else, I'm not going to use it. Well, don't be mad that people are flourishing because they like autocorrect, okay? And they don't want to use a telegram, the physical one, to wait for the thing to travel to the person for like weeks at a time when they could just send an instant message via a messaging tool or app. Don't be mad at that person, right? Because you choose not to take advantage if you have, the opportunity to use these tools. It doesn't make sense to me. So people being upset about it now, at some point you're going to say, hey, you know what? This is making sense, where rather than creating all these different images, they can create like multiple stages and put these images in there, and I can relate to the speed at which they're developing, and I'm still getting a quality game. And because AI is as advanced as it is right now, and of course it's going to be more advanced in the next 5 years, 10 years, there's a lot of good that can be done with this particular technology. I don't think anything is wrong with that.
Yeah.
But bad players, they're always going to be there.
Absolutely. Now, one thing this article references, which I thought was interesting and probably one of the points of contention, was that they did present that NPC at the last conference, and they were talking about how the player could talk to this NPC, and then that NPC could actually listen to the player, and through generative AI, issue a unique response, which, I mean, you could not do that real time in any other way. Like, you couldn't write the millions of lines of dialogue that you would have to have for the player's exact choice. You can't predict what every player is going to want to do in every situation. That's why games are so narrow. It's either good, bad, or neutral, or you play some sort of gray playthrough where you're going back and forth between being nice to this faction and mean to this faction, or whatever it may be. It's allowing games' narratives to get deeper by utilizing this technology. For example, Tomb Raider, the remaster of Tomb Raider 1 through 3, with the new textures that they used, they were remastering old textures from the original games. They used generative imaging AI sources to remaster these graphics and import those textures into the new game. And yeah, some of them were a little different, and people love to nitpick. But for the most part, fairly faithful. And it looks gorgeous, by the way. Like, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's a remaster of a treasured game and delivered in that exact experience with some modern improvements here and there. But more or less, you were getting the games that you enjoyed 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. So, like you've said, I mean, studios have been using this to little or no fanfare at all. Some studios don't like to say that they're doing it because then, the Twitter hordes will swallow them whole. But, I mean, like you're saying, people are using this. It's your choice to use it or not. I think with artists, a lot of artists I've seen that do use AI are saying like, okay, what design do you want me to draw? Okay, you want me to draw a black ninja for you. Okay, well, here I'll type it up in a couple things. What kind of poses do you want? And then it could be used to sort of pitch your client a schematic. Okay, you want a ninja in black doing a jump kick. Okay, obviously. Okay. So what I can do is take that generative AI and now I can paint you, my beautiful handcrafted art that you are paying me, obviously for my talent, my education, and my service. And now I know exactly what you want. So I didn't have to waste dozens of hours scripting and showing you prints back and forth, emailing back and forth. We could make this a 10-minute conversation of this is the pose, this is the color scheme you want, this is the character you want. Now I'm going to paint it in my style. I'll show you a couple things along the way, and then I'll show you the final print, and then you pay me, the rest of the deposit, and we're good to go. Same with music, right? Whereas, if someone asks me to write a song for them, or even if I'm trying to come up with a song and I'm having a hard time, I can say, I'm trying to write a love song about this couple, okay? And they met in the woods and blah, blah, blah. Okay, we give them all the various topics. And the AI comes up with a couple different scripts of what's possible. And like we've always said, this is the worst that AI is going to ever be, is right now. It's only going to get smarter and better, right? And we've seen that even in the past few years. So with this song, it's going to give me a couple of ideas for verses and choruses. And maybe they're not so great. But here's the idea. It could spur a creative spark in me to create something original from what I just saw there. Okay, but then people will rebut that with, with paintings and with music and stuff. Well, actually, these generative programs are poaching from real creators. It's listening to every song that's ever existed, and it's telling you, based on what it knows about every song, it's spitting that at you, and you're basically stealing from everybody. And the same with paintings. It's looking at paintings that Degas did. It's looking at the Mona Lisa. It's looking at every image on the internet and that exists in the world, and it's generating an image from that. It's creating that. So, and even with books, if you're using it for writing, it's stealing from every author. But guess what? Guess what every guitarist does? We steal from B.B. King. We steal from Jimi Hendrix. We steal from Eddie Van Halen. We steal from Metallica. The best players and the best writers and the best of everything, you learn from who inspires you and who you enjoy the most, right? And you steal from them, sure, but you pay homage to them through your work, and then eventually that leads you to a place where you create your own individual style that is a mismatch of all these artists, whether it's Mozart, it's Beethoven, you're mixing in B.B. King and all these other influences into your work, and you're creating something individual. So who's to say that this AI that is computing all those references, it's not doing the same thing that I'm doing by sitting here and listening to a bunch of records, stealing those licks, becoming as good a player as they are, and then creating my own style and my own music from that. I know that's a lot.
No, that's a lot. I have a song for you.
That was heavy.
Okay, so I wanna give you the lines to this song. Okay,
yeah.
It says, AI, oh AI, why you gotta take the shine from the hands that build this world one line at a time? They say your progress, the future's bright, a brand new race, but progress feels a lot like fear when it erases your face. Maybe it ain't all bad. Maybe there's a space for humans and AI to find a common grace, a collaboration, a symphony, a future hand in hand where machines enhance our dreams, not bury them in sand. I just wrote this song. Okay? I just said, AI, write this song for me about people complaining about the use of AI, and this song is pretty catchy. I could see this be a very, very good song for someone with a guitar, right?
Yeah.
Just playing it out. Okay, so the last couple lines, I'll read that and then I'll stop. It says, AI, oh hey, AI, don't steal the light away from the hands that build this world. Let's find a better way. We can build a future together, a brighter, stronger race where progress doesn't feel like fear, but a warm embrace. Human and machine, a harmony unseen. Let's write a song together, a future yet to glean. Okay. So yeah. So I think that it's just the things that we have at our disposal, this being one of them, for us to use as tools. So, for example, if someone is writing a book, they could have the proofreader, the editor, the ghostwriter. Maybe you can take out the editor and make AI do the editor. Maybe you could take AI as the ghostwriter instead. Maybe you can have AI write all of the chapters after you've written the chapters and say, hey, can you rephrase these chapters in such a way that they connect to each other, right? So there's different ways to use the tool. I know a lot of people have said, hey, just write, this whole thing for me, this whole book for me, or this whole essay for me and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then those things have to get checked, with, scholastic, institutions and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it's a tool that, can benefit. It just wrote us a song, about AI.
There
right?
you go.
Human and machine, a harmony unseen, right? So I think that there's benefits to having this tool at our disposal. And as I was saying before, there are individuals that are going to use it for bad things. That's just the nature of where we are as
There's
humans.
a little bit of a rhyme structure going on there. It's not half bad. It could be good. We don't know until we throw a melody to it.
It could be good. It could be good, and that's the thing, right? So you take the initial thing that it gives you, and it's like, okay, well, now that I have this, I can add to it, and then maybe take away some of the things. Even the music effects engine that Google showed or showcased at Google I/O, where you can take a note, you could take, let's say, lo-fi, and then you add a flute, and then you add some melody, and then maybe you add some oceanic songs, and you could do that in real time, and then say, hey, I really like how this came out. I could use, 30 seconds for it as a podcast intro or a YouTube video intro and stuff like that, because it is a process that you are still, putting these things together to do something, right, for an output. And I think that those things should be commendable, even though that you're using tools.
In essence, you're a music producer. You're not the talent, but you are putting together the skills.
You're doing something.
Yeah, you're doing something, exactly.
Yeah. Can you imagine trying to take your car apart without any tools? Doesn't make sense.
That would be really difficult.
Do that?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Your hand. Try to take out something that has 20 or 30 pounds of torque with your hand. Okay, when there's a tool designed to do that, especially when you're trying to either tighten up a wheel at 90 foot-pounds of torque or something like that. Try doing that with your hand without having a tool that tells you when that pressure is fully applied. We use tools everywhere. So this is just another place in the digital world that we're going to be using this particular tool.
One other thing I want to bring up, I shot you this article right now. With help from AI, famous country singer Randy Travis got his voice back. Here's how his first song, Post-Stroke, came to be. So Randy Travis lost his voice through a stroke that he had, and he's had to relearn how to walk, how to spell, how to read, and his ability to speak is rather limited, so he can't even really talk a lot. So the idea of him singing is probably near impossible. At his age, with these complications, maybe someday he gets there, or maybe not, and we miss out on this once-in-a-generation voice and talent. So his new song is called Where That Came From. And basically what they did was they trained an AI to listen to Randy's voice and recreate it pitch perfect. And of course, they're sitting in a studio with talented musicians actually playing along to the song. And the only difference is that Randy is not singing it. He's there, he's producing, he's overseeing, and he's making sure that he likes what he sees. And, he's working with all these incredible country musicians that are actually playing with instruments to the song. But the fact that they were able to do this shows ethical use of AI, where it is able to maintain the human element and to allow someone who can no longer express his creativity. You know how destroyed I would be if I lost both hands in a terrible accident and I could no longer play video games, I could no longer use my camera, I could no longer play my guitar, right? I would be grasping at any technology that would allow me to feel the way I feel when I do those things and to share that beauty and passion with the world. So that's what he's doing here. So I don't know. There's times where we can attack AI for its negative uses, and times where perhaps it is. I think they're asking for forgiveness rather than permission with a lot of things. They're scraping data from people's private Google Docs, and people are these companies are going through YouTube and listening to every publicly available video and podcast in order to educate these language learning models and all these various things. So they are getting in lawsuits over, not really asking permission before doing certain things, whether that's copying someone's art or taking from someone's art and using it to educate yourself. But at the same time, it is doing the thing that all artists do, and it is that we learn other people's moves so that we can recreate their moves, right? Like B.B. King said it. There's no song that you can play or sing with the guitar that hasn't already been sung in a slave hymn on the fields. He was like, there's no melody you can come up with that hasn't already been done, that hadn't been sung in the fields by a slave. And it's true. I mean, he plays those songs, he plays those notes, we mimic those notes. Even today, we may play them faster and more vigorously and more, more intricately, but there's nothing new under the sun. To be
nothing at all.
Completely true, with all this stuff. So I don't know, it's very interesting. We're just gonna have to follow AI and see where it goes, and it makes sense to use the tool. I would be very careful and always be ethical about the ways that you're using it, and in a lot of places I think it's asking us to be transparent, right? When you post a YouTube video, they're asking, hey, was this generated by AI? We just want to know so that we can sort it or put a disclaimer or whatever. At some point, maybe the lines will even blur so much that, that becomes unnecessary. But right now, that seems to be the main concern.
Yeah, it's a tool, man. It's a tool, and I love it. I love it, and I think that if I had to sit here and clip every single, dope section in a video and put out 25 different clips vertically so I could post them on all these different platforms, that's much easier now, right?
You're a one-man team, and I'm the same way. So creating these podcasts, these live streams, the videos, writing your book, like all these things that you want to be and you're trying to accomplish, AI allows you to be able to balance all these plates without dropping any of them. You're spinning all these plates, and you want to be good at all the things you do, and you want to make sure that you put positive things out into the world, and AI is allowing you to juggle all those things without dropping a plate and breaking them,
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that.
Any other thoughts on AI?
Give it a shot. Same thing for Destiny, man. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. You might like it. You might not. So there's that.
Absolutely. I'd say try it and see how it works for you. But I know every creator that I've spoken with that has used some of that software to help them clip things, everyone has said this is a godsend. And this helps me with my flow. This leaves me not having to sit there for hours a day clipping little things. I could work on more important things, put my focus elsewhere.
100%.
Well, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this little bonus look into a little discussion here of AI.